So, as I said, we're going to talk about sex, and it is a very deep subject, a very complicated one. Saying that is, I can really reach the complexity of this because, as the Spirit says to us, as you guys are going to see, these subjects, these aspects of our life, they really contribute with almost everything, every act, lots of thoughts, the way that we relate with people. And this is something to pay attention every day in adult life. And also for the ones who have children, who have teenagers. So it's something that we should actually start to sexual education since the very beginning, since they are little, talking about it, but very sudden. And then actually what the Spirit says to us, that we should prepare the Spirit, because remember, the little child, that baby that you hold now, sometimes is a spirit way older than yourself. So it's not new for them. But the aspects, the way that you treat sex in your life, it will be new. If you give them the right directions, you give them the right moral concept, you're going to be changing you're going to be treating or handling with big issues. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys now. Okay. Okay. Bruno, you guys are seeing my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So let's start. I'd like to bring to you guys, for the beginning, to start all of our conversation here today, some spiritist aspects, some spiritist views, right? I brought 2 books. I worked with several books to set up this lecture for us today, because this subject is everywhere. Joanna De Angelis talk a lot about that. Emmanuel talks a lot about that. We have some specific writers, mediums, that they put their lives writing about this, like the spirits bring to us, and then you guys can see how deep and how important this subject is for us. So in the spirit's view, what is sex? Sex is spirit and life at the service of happiness and harmony in the universe. Consequently, it demands responsibility and discernment, wherever and whenever it is expressed. This was Emmanuel, who said on the book Life and Sex, and Manuel Filomeno de Miranda, in this book, Sex and Obsession. Sorry, I put it in Portuguese, but I think you guys can find in English. And it's a very deep book. I strongly recommend, but it's really, it's not an easy one to read, but it's very clarifying. Okay, so Emmanuel Filomeno de Miranda says to us, sex was not elaborated for ordinary pleasure, but for the higher emotions in the construction of life, or for compensatory sensations when supported by the dubious vibrations of love, maintaining affections and the joy of living. So, my friends, actually the humanity came from the period that in the beginning of time, in the beginning of the religions, on the society, all the time it was said to us that sex is wrong, that we should not do it, just to having kids, they put lots of barriers during years, during centuries, and that idea was planted inside of us. But as most of the subjects, the Spiritism come to clarify and then show that there is no such thing as right and wrong, but it's always the intention, the way that he use one of those things. And this is why we must know what to do with these energies, because the spirits describe to us that the sexual energy is the same one that our intelligence is so powerful as our intelligence, the way that we speak, the others ways that we manifest ourselves to others. And saying that, they said that we must know how to use those sexual energies, observing how, with whom, and for what we will use such resources, understanding that all commitment in sexual life are equally subordinate to the law of cause and effect. We're going to talk about more this later. And according to this exact principle of everything we will give to others, in the affective world, others will also give to us. Sex is one of the most complex chapters of some psychic science, such as psychology, psychoanalysis, psychiatry. Misuse, disorderly and irresponsible, has been generating consequences for both the spirit and the body, generating imbalances reflected in our behavior and how we relate to people. And I do like to go, for the next slide that I'm going to show to us, guys, I would like to go a little bit deep in science, because that was a fascinating discovery for myself. I didn't know such aspects. And when we put this together with spiritism, and it's amazing the way that you can explain those kind of things. And I would like to explain to you the mechanisms the mechanisms of sex, of course, the biological one, but also the emotional and the spiritual one. You guys, I hope you guys understand a lot, as I did in the first time that I read this. One more time, I brought a passage from the Sex and Life, the book Sex and Life, from Emmanuel, when he said, whenever a certain person invites another to sexual communion or accepts an appeal in that sense, based on affinity and trust, a circuit of forces is established between them, through which the pair physically feed on a spiritual energy in a regime of reciprocity. Okay, so we can divide sex in 4 big moments. Okay, one of them it's seeing, looking to the person. The other one is feeling. The other one it's the orgasm and the pleasure. Some people ask, okay, orgasm and pleasure, they're not the same. No, they're not the same. And we're going to talk about a little bit this now. This is the brain that you guys can see. For the ones who can see, who cannot see my screen, I put a brain, and I'm going to talk to you guys about the Papez circuit. This is how it happens. As other energy, as other potency of the human life, our body has his needs, right? As when we are hungry, the body starts to giving us signs, right? Your belly make noises, you start to feeling something weird inside of you. Sometimes you have a headache, sometimes you have bad humor. I am this one. And it's the same with sex, because it's one of the potencies, right? That we just talk about it. And when your body is prepared and you have this need, every adult, healthy adult will have this need. Your body is start to getting sorry, I lost the word. It start to getting start to be influencing by yourself, by the hormones. He start to giving incentives. I don't know if this is the right word, but he start to getting those charges, and then your sexual tension is start to go up. You guys can see I put a curve that is going up, all the way up. Right? So every time that we receive those stimulus, it happens something that we call Papez circuit every time. So our brain start to getting more and more and more and more. Once that it reach 100% of stimulus, that can be visual stimulus, touching, So our sexual tensions go really, really, really high. Once that happens, usually the act itself happens. But there is a thing. We can divide sex in two aspects. We're going to have the total sex and the partial sex. The total sex, it happens when we put love. Okay, when just one thing. For this circuit happens, the Papez circuit in our brain, when it happens, when it reach 100% of stimuli, what happens? He starts to send messages to other places of our brain. So this is why unloved people see the world in different colors. This is why when we are in love, when you are feeling this for somebody, everything gets better. The flowers has more perfume. Everybody's beautiful. Everybody, almost everybody, it's very nice. The day become beautiful, even if there is not sun out there. So all those feelings, they are a product of the Papez circuits, right? But this is one aspect. The other one, it's the physical one. So once that your body get his tension, it's zero tension, and then reach the high tension. Mostly of the time, the act itself, the sex itself happens. And then the tensions go all the way down. But there is a thing. This happens when we have the total sex, when you have the love, the feeling, and the pleasure. We also can get the same stimulus. We are in zero tension, a sexual tension, and then we go all the way up. Our body is sending messages. We go to all the way up, but we relieve ourselves. We do the act. But if we won't use, if you're not using the two aspects, the feeling and the pleasure, what happens to us? The sexual tension doesn't go down. It stays mostly about 50% of the curve. So what happens to us? All those feelings that I talked to you guys, the aspects of life, the life is beautiful, the flowers are more perfumed, the people are more cool with us, everything's going okay, they don't happen. So what happens with our body? He wants that stimulus more, and more. But what our body are really looking for? It's the total sex part. It's the feeling. It's the complexion. It's the love and the pleasure together. And when that doesn't happen, our body it's asking more, and more. And what are okay, Daisy, I understood, but what is the danger in that? Oh, that is a danger, believe me. When that happens, our brain works like this. We used to have just the physical part, just the material part. And here is the problem. Because as spirits incarnated here, working for a spiritual evolution, we can never, in any aspects of life, put our attention, our efforts, and our energy in something that is just material, just for the pleasure itself, without anything else. And we have one thing more. Every time that happens, the tension in your body, remember, it's not all relief, right? We go up to the curve, and then unfortunately, when the sex happens without feelings, we don't go all the way down. We stay in the middle, and the sexual tension stay there. So we're gonna have receiving stimulus, and that can, in many cases, transform in other disease of your body. Many kinds of tensions, many kinds of psychological problems, and in psychosis. And this is really dangerous. This is the physical aspect that I give to you guys. Now I'm going to give you the spiritual one. And we're going to talk about something that is not so pleasant to talk about it, but about obsession. And why am I bringing this to you today? First of all, I would like just to explain the aspects, saying to you guys that sex is not wrong. Actually, sex is divine. It's the way that we come to this world, right? The reincarnation is just possible because of sex. And this is why we have the pleasure part. Needs to be good for us to do it, and then we can bring more, give the chance to other spirits to reincarnate. So it's divine. It's the mechanism of God. They used to say that a woman, it's a bridge between heaven and earth. And sex, it's the way, it's the lighting, it's that part. Imagine a bridge and imagine little lights over for us to go through. So this is the sex part. It's not wrong, but the way that you use can be dangerous and can really, really, really give you really serious consequences. So saying that, for those people, for those who unfortunately irresponsibly use sex as just a material tool, just for the pleasure part, not taking care of the feelings, we also, as I said to you guys, that we have the healthy consequences, the bad health consequences, right? Some disease, some psychological problems that can be developed by that. But we also have the spiritual ones. And the spiritual ones are the obsessions. For those who are new in Spiritism, obsessions are attempt of spirits that doesn't have a high elevate purpose in life. They discarnate for this world, from this world, sometimes with serious issues, serious sexual issues, or any kind of vices, and that they feed from us, from our fluid, our spiritual fluid. In most of the things that happens in our body, they happen through energy, right? So we release that energy, we release that fluid, a kind of plasma, and those spirits, they feed themselves, they feed their vices about that. And once more, why I'm talking about this, because there is no book, practically no book in the spirit's bibliography that talks about sex and don't talk about obsession, because they are really, really close. Because unfortunately, in this level of evolution, lots and lots of humans, they are using sex more and more, not in the correct way, not in the way that it was created for. In the beginning, we had that problem that it was forbidden, it was wrong, it was a bad thing to do so. But now, in the age of the information, in the age of the communication, when everything is open, when all tool, it's there with just one button for you to see, we have another problem, the banalization, right? Things that in the past, they were sealed for a big part of the population. Now they are open to almost everybody, including our children, our teenagers. And this is a really, really, really dangerous thing. So Manuel Filomeno de Miranda, in the book that I said to you guys, Sex and Obsession, he brings to us sex poorly conducted due to emotional involvement and the spiritual lacerations it produces in others, as in those who use it badly, opens the door to terrible obsessive collusion while practiced in the vile manner. It attacks equally tormented and sick spirits. They are linked to the individual, leading him to terrible and difficult liberation process of parasitosis. Why they are talking about parasitosis? When you talk about parasitosis, you think in parasites, right? Those little things, I will not say worms or... So those things who live inside of us, feeding from us. They compare the obsessions through the bad use of sex to parasitosis because it's what it is. They really live inside of you. all disturbances in sex, all the time that we use this, we open the doors. I do like to remember all of you guys that the obsession, when we talk about the obsession, the obsessor spirits, the one that I just explained, that there are spirits already discarnated, but that feed from our fluid, the fluid that our bodies liberate every time that we use energy to produce something. And remember, everyone, our thoughts, they are energy. So our thoughts can attract. But for those spirits to get to us, to get close to us, we need to have it inside. They're not the bad guys, just the bad guys, the villains. It's not such thing that they will direct you, they will guide you, they will do all for you. So they are, we in spiritism, we also use the word vampires, but it's not just them. So if you're not invited, invite them. They will never come. If you're not having this inside of us, if we not open the door, if we are responsible enough, they will never come. And I want to bring to you guys a part of this story. We have lots of examples of the bad use of sex and the consequences. I would like to everyone, please, to put on mute if you can. So on the book Messengers, we talk about this. We talk about On Nosso Lar. André gave to us so many examples that what he saw from those who had an irresponsible sex life. What I'm talking about, what are you talking about, responsible sex life, Daisy? Sex, just for pleasure, without love, without responsibility, like knowing somebody in the party, you are cool, this person is cool, and then the act itself happens. What Emmanuel was bringing to us, it's every sex act, every time that you have sex to somebody in the spiritual world is like a marriage, because you're going to have exchanges of fluids, you're going to have exchange of matter, and exchange of spiritual aspects. Your chakra and the chakra of the person, they will be attached. They will exchange energy. And that energy you're going to take with you for eras, for incarnations and incarnations. And if the result of that, it's something bad, like I'm going to I'm not talking about pregnancy or disease or the other things that we adults know that can result, but a delusion for the other person, not just a delusion. I think delusion is not the correct word, but like the expectations. The other person like that more and want to stay with us, but one of the two just wanted that moment. Just wanted that pleasure, just want to relieve the tension that we talked about early. And the feeling that that person we're going to send to you is going to give you consequences. You're going to have consequences. Because remember, as the law of cause and effect, there is no harm that won't return to us. They will return. So this is a part of this book. Unfortunately, we don't have this book in English. It's from the spirit Lúcio Sérgio. The name is Driblando a Dor. And we don't have in English, but I would like to bring to you guys because it's talks about lots of things in the very deep way. And I thought that it would be very important to us to talk about it. This is a small part. Luis Sérgio, it's with a group of other spirits. They're coming from the spiritual city that they are housed, and then they come to help those in need, more in the sexual aspects and another vices like drugs and abuse of other substances. And they are very related most of the time. And I'm going to read to you. We approached to entering. We saw couples. So in this moment, they receive a call in the facility that they were. That was two young boys that they were abusing of substance. So they will pass away. And this group went there to help all of them that were in that place. So they said, we approached it. Luis Sergio said, we approached it to entering. We saw couples within in real sense of explicit sex. Partners sometimes took turns. We are in the wrong place. This is the 10th of threshold. Actually, he said, I believe this is an umbral. This could be the right place, said Damien, one of the Luis Sergio's friends. And then Luis Sergio said, no, we are at a party. This is a house that should be a home. We noticed that each couple possessed about 10 completely hallucinated spirits around them. A team of trained spirits for umbral works that came with Luis Sergio had actually, these spirits, they described as the lanceiros. They work from Mary of Nazareth. Because remember, every time that someone is abusing of one aspect of this body with substances, they will be considered suicidal. So Mary of Nazareth, she's the one who devoted to help those considered suicidal, right? So one of the people of her crew came with them, and then he's saying, a team of trained spirits for umbral work had accompanied us, and at the moment when the disembodied entities sucked the earthly addicted, they did everything to help them. They were spirits that discarnated, but remained with those irresponsible men and women. As I explained to you guys, that all that stuff that happens with our brain, as soon as we open that door, as soon as we start to have sex irresponsibly, without feelings, without the will of having a relationship. I'm not talking just about marriage, okay? When the Spirit says to us that why God give us sex, it's for reproduction. It's definitely for reproduction, right? It's to make reincarnation possible, as I said. But besides of that, every time that we won't use love in the way that it should be used, we're going to have consequences. And what they said that in this part that I just read to you guys, these entities were suckling the earthly addicts. They did everything to help them. This is one of the biggest consequences. And every time that we open that door, that doing sex without the feeling, without the compromise with the other person, without the intention of be with that person, we open that door. And remember when I said that we just read 50% of that curve? Once that we open that door, those spirits around us, they said that at least 10 spirits by couple. Those spirits, they want more. They want every time more. And what is the way that we're going to get it more? If we do it more. And this is how the symbiotes that I can call, the synchronization with the obsessory spirits happens through sex. In other moment of this book, he also describes, they were analyzing everything, right? They also describes that they enter in a moment in the unique place. It was a facility on Earth, of course, and in this facility there was a couple that they weren't married, but they were very in love. They had this will. They promised themselves they will be together, so they are starting something real for both of them, and they're having sex in that moment, okay? And what they could see was lots of spirits trying to get to them, but in the moment that the act itself was happening, it was like the energy, it was an energy coming from their chakras. They were protecting them, like I'm sorry, I forgot the word in English, casulo, if someone can help me. A Christ hold.
Cradle?
Cradle, yes, a cradle. So something like a cradle of energy involve that couple, and the spirits, the obsessors, they are rounding around looking for that essence, the things that I talked to you guys earlier. They couldn't have it from that couple because the love. Remember, my friends, the love. It's the divine sparkle, right? Love, it's everything. It's the first commandment, right? Love everyone, love your neighbor, love. The love, it's not the magic, but it's the power itself who protect that couple. In the same facility, as I said, that was another couple. They were just met each other a couple days ago, and they're just having fun. What do you guys think that happens? That having fun part? All of them. In that moment, they describe a full house. They said if the couple could see, they thought they were alone, but they had a full house. So probably we're going to be talking about way more than 10, right? All of them having fluids, having substances of those two. And we are going to the end of our lecture today. And the message that I would like to let with you guys, it's another view from the spiritism. How does spiritism guide our sexual conduct? Not prohibition, but education. Not impose abstinence, but decent employment with due respect for others and for yourself. Remember, you're going to be harmed. You're going to be harmed by your health. You're going to be harmed by the debts that you can acquire if you hurt somebody else, if you hurt the other person that you don't have sincere intentions for. You can be harmed for those spirits that you're going to attract to yourself. So you are the first one who's going to suffer the consequences of irresponsibility, right? Not indiscipline, but control. Not free impulse, but responsibility. Thinking, always thinking. Without it, it will be deceiving us, fighting without profit, suffering and restarting the work of personal sublimation as many times as necessary through the mechanisms of reincarnation. Because the application of sex in the light of love and life is a matter pertinent to the conscience of each one. So this is what I have to talk to you guys today. I hope that you guys enjoy this lecture. And as I said to you, we're going to have a couple moments. If somebody has a question or something else they want to talk about it, I'm here to listen to you.